spent a year getting to know them. Many theologians call it the silent year. The silent year that's not recorded, stories that are not told. This is a one-on-one audience between the God of creation and a few men. Can you imagine that? Here you are, and I'm not talking about the 12 disciples. I'm talking about a few of the disciples who would come to form the foundation of the 12. Just a few of them. And here they are with just a guy, it appears. And he's with him. They're with him for 12 months. I ask you, what are those secret moments? What are those quiet moments? What are those one-on-one moments? Who are the individuals without a spotlight that God has sent to you? Who's that C.O. Jackson in your life? Who's that J.S. Baker? Who's that mentor? Who's that neighbor? Who is it that's not famous? Who is it that's just an everyday person that God has sent into your life? Maybe it's your fourth grade teacher. Maybe it's your English teacher. City Classic Cars, we have an opportunity to work with Klein High School. There's a teacher over there, they just call him H. I think his last name is Halffoot. But they just call him H. They don't even call him Mr. H. And H has an impact in the lives of these young people. And they tell me stories about H and how funny H is and how H helped them, how H got them out of trouble, how my daddy wasn't there, but H took me to the basketball game. And H was an impact in my life. And H got me out of trouble. And H gets in my face. And H. Who's the H in your life? Who's that person, maybe that coworker in your life? And if I said a different way, there's somebody who needs an H. Will you be the H? Will you be that quiet influence in their life? I've been preaching at City of Faith Church now for quite a few years. Very seldom is there an applause, a roar, an accolade, a plaque on the wall that says, "You touched my life." But every now and then there's a moment where someone says, "You've been an impact." There's a moment where someone says, "You've been an inspiration." There's a moment where someone says, "If you did not do that." There's just those moments. When is the last time you've had the opportunity to be a quiet, significant presence in someone's life? There's a sign we put up. It says, "Life is a gift." That's all it says. Life is a gift. Nothing more. Doesn't say who gives you the gift. Doesn't say pray. Doesn't say Jesus is the answer. Life is a gift. One of the guys one day had tears in his eyes. I said, "What's wrong with you?" He said, "I just looked at that sign and it touched me. I've been through so much. I'm going through so much, and I need to remember that life is a gift." What's your little sign, your little 3 words that maybe you can put out and touch your neighbor's life, touch your nephew's life, touch someone's life in your life? In these disciples, when you see promotion, when God gets you all alone, he's going to whisper something in your ear. I was up late last night, early, maybe I should say last night. I woke up about 1. I didn't lay back down till about 6. And God just had me on a journey from about 1 to 6. I'm just on a journey. Nobody but me and the Lord. When's the last time you've been on a journey with God? When's the last time God has shared something secretly in your ear? God has deposited something silently in your spirit. I want you to see here that was a silent year. And after that relationship had reached a certain apex, then Jesus promoted these particular disciples. One other thing, and I'm out of here. Jesus will tell you to do something that is seemingly impossible. Jesus, once that relationship is established, once that relationship is rooted, he has to build the relationship first to get the trust. Once that trust is there and you depend on Jesus, now he can tell you to do something crazy. So here it is. I want you to read this. 4, Now when he left speaking, he said unto Simon, launch out into the deep and let down your nets for a draught. 5. And Simon answering him said unto him, Master, we have toiled all the night and have taken nothing. Nevertheless, at thy word, I will let down the net. Here's what he's really saying. He said, well, I mean, it don't make good sense to me. I mean, it doesn't fit the profile. It just doesn't make good sense to me, Jesus. That's all he's saying. Because during this day and time, they fish with nets at night. And what happens to the fish would come near the shore at night. And once the fish came near the shore, they would take a light and they would shine the illumination. This is how they fished back then. They would shine the illumination. The fish would come to the light. Then they would cast their net and they would what? They would catch the fish. But during the day, what the fish would do, the fish would swim out in deeper water and they would go too deep and their nets did not have the technology to catch the fish. So no one fished in this manner. No one did this. This is the first time in history someone has caught fish through the manner in which Jesus described. It's not how they did it. This is not how it was done. And here he is telling them, I'm going to do something in your life that has never been done before. I'm going to do something through you that has never been seen on this side of heaven before. I want you to get ready, and I want you to start expecting God to do something amazing in your life. Something that has never been done before. Why can't you be the first one in your family to have that happen? Well, everybody in my family get a divorce. Well, why can't you remain in a committed relationship for 50 years? Why you can't be the one? Why can't you find true love? Why can't you live out your dream job? Why can't you be healed? I want you to see that Jesus is telling these individuals to go to the deep, to go do something that is impossible. Here's what I want you to understand. God rarely tells us to do what we're humanly able to do. He often tells us to do things that require us to have total dependence upon him. He doesn't tell us to walk to the edge. He tells us to what? Jump off the cliff. And there's so many of us, we walk to the edge because you can't jump off the cliff if you're not what? If you're not at the edge. So here we are. We follow God's orders all the way up to the edge. And he says jump off. That's the whole purpose for getting to the edge. We put our toes over, we look over, and God says jump. And I want you to see these disciples are going all the way out here in the deep water. I want you to know it's time for you and I to go for broke. It's time for you and I to launch out in the deep. It's time for you and I to dare to be who God says we are. It's time for you and I to put on the clothes of righteousness. It is time for you and I to walk out the calling that God has over our lives. Who do you think you are? Who do they say you are? I want you to know who God says you are is much bolder than that. I want you to know who God says you are is much bigger than that. There's a rapper here in Houston, Texas by the name of Jay Prince. And this rapper, this guy who is for his own, out of his own mouth, a guy from the streets. A guy who has hustled in his life to make ends meet. And here we find this particular guy has not only been able to establish a great entrepreneurial platform that provides for him, his family, and so many other people. This gentleman also has the opportunity to discover other artists. And so I was laughing when I saw the basketball game the other day, and there's this basketball player by the name of Kendrick Perkins. And he's fussing with this superstar mogul who's now the ambassador of the Toronto Raptors basketball team, and his name is Drake. And so here we have this famous rapper, singer, whatever he is, but this entertainer who is superstar status, who is the who's who of royalty. And he was discovered not by Jay Prince, but by Jay Prince's son. Isn't that something? And he wasn't even rapping at the time. He was singing on social media. And here it is, this guy who was hustling in the streets. This guy who was from the neighborhoods of Texas, this young kid who happened at that time to be a member of that same preacher's church I'm telling you about, this guy grows up, stays from getting shot, does not go to prison, does not become a statistic in that manner, builds up his empire, and now he and his son are able to discover a young kid from Toronto, of all places, sees something unique in that child's life and uses the platform that God has given him to launch him to superstar status. But this is the same kid who was hustling in the streets. Here's what I'm trying to tell you. God already knew what Jay Prince would do. God already was aware of the influence he would allow Jay Prince to have, even when he was hustling in the streets, even when he was going from block to block and corner to corner. And God said, I got a higher calling for you. I got a different assignment for you. What I'm trying to get you to see, what I'm trying to get you to do is open your mind to new possibilities. If I stay from a hip hop perspective, under that same vein, there's another rapper by the name of P. Diddy. And that same rapper, Sean Combs, that entertainer, that individual was washing cars as an intern at somebody else's record company. Here he was washing the cars, and he went from washing the cars to now being an industry icon himself. What I'm trying to get you to see is you may be washing the car right now. You may be hustling from block to block right now. But what God wants to do at this instant, he wants you to see the end now when you're right now on the block. And that's what he does with these particular disciples. He's telling them, don't go in the deep to try. I want you to go in the deep because I have something significant for you. I have something special for you. There's something over there for you that is so powerful, that is so amazing, and you're going to receive it through my power, not through your power. And so